Hello, everybody. Nate Strong here from Nightingale Writing Center. Let's check out action verbs and linking verbs. I'll be upfront. Some of this may feel a little trivial, but it's actually very important to help you write stronger, better, and more clearly. So let's check it out. English has four categories of verbs: action verbs, linking verbs, the two that we're going to look at here, helping verbs, which we cover in our video on aspect, and modal verbs, which we cover in our video on verb mood. Most verbs in English are action verbs. They usually portray an action that we can witness, at least in theory. I'll explain what I mean by that right now. For now, we are going to use these pictures to think of action verbs. And it'll be pretty obvious. They swim. He bakes. The bird sees me. The earth spins. And I chose the earth spins to show you that we can't literally and directly witness an action verb all the time. For instance, if I say, I think, you cannot actually observe the neurons firing in my brain, but we still consider it an action verb. You are doing something. It is something that we may not be able to witness, right? Like I said, you can't watch the neurons firing. It is about doing. Action words may be followed by various parts of speech, and this is what we're going to use to identify action verbs, which is critical for the revision process of your writing. First, a noun or a pronoun can follow an action verb. And in this case, those words are the object of the verb. So we could say, he needs dough. Needs, K-N-E-A-D-S, is the verb. Dough is the object of needs. It is being acted upon by that verb. Let's try the bird sees me. Sees is the verb, and me is receiving the action of the verb sees. It is the object of the verb. Now, an adverb may also follow an action verb. By the way, if you're having trouble remembering what some of these parts of speech are, we have plenty of materials on them in Nightingale Writing Center, and I encourage you to check them out. All right, adverbs follow an action verb and describe the verb. They swim quickly. Quickly describes how they swim. He bakes daily. Daily describes when the baking happens. The bird chirps happily. Happily describes how the bird chirps, and so on. Finally, a prepositional phrase may follow an action verb. Like an adverb, it will describe the verb. And again, you can check out our materials if you need a refresher on what a prepositional phrase is, but I'm going to illustrate it here. They swim in the pool. In the pool describes where they swim. The Earth revolves around the sun. It describes how the Earth moves and revolves. So these are the ways that we can identify an action verb. It is followed by a noun or pronoun, an adverb, or a prepositional phrase. Now let's look at linking verbs. They express states of being. Remember, action verbs are doing, linking verbs are being. Now, this chart that I have is not every single linking verb, but it is a lot of them. And we can see that they're all things that there's no activity involved. You don't have to try to be. You just are. You don't try to become necessarily. It just happens, right? We can see some of these also relate to the senses: appear, look, feel, sound, taste, and we'll unpack those sense oriented linking verbs in just a little bit. So how do I identify a linking verb? One way is if the verb is followed by an adjective. Remember, I made no references to adjectives when we looked at action verbs. So we could say, "Hmm, the bird is cute." What is cute describing? It's not really describing the verb is, it's describing the subject, the bird. So this adjective following a linking verb is actually going to refer to the subject and not the verb. That's much different from the structures that we were looking at with action verbs. The earth is big. The swimmers are young. The dough is sticky. Let's change up those verbs. The dough became sticky. The dough feels sticky, right? Okay. A noun may also follow a linking verb. Remember, a noun can also follow an action verb. So we have to look carefully at that relationship between the noun and the verb. It's like what we saw with the adjectives. The adjectives were describing the subject and not the verb. Let's see some examples here. Lynn is a nurse. A nurse is describing Lynn. So is a linking verb. Lynn sees the nurse. The nurse is receiving the action of the verb sees, so we have an action verb. Abdul became a teacher. A teacher is describing Abdul. Abdul likes his teacher. His teacher is receiving the action of the verb likes. So in the first sentence, Abdul became a teacher. We have a linking verb. Abdul likes his teacher, action verb. Now, we also want to keep an eye out for what's following the verb, because some verbs can be action verbs or linking verbs depending on the context. And that's what I was talking about with those words that refer to the senses. Dominic tasted the lemon. The lemon receives the action of tasted, action verb. The lemon tasted delicious. Delicious describes the subject, the lemon, action, the linking verb, right? It's describing the subject. She felt sick. Sick is describing she, linking verb. I felt her head to check for fever. I can even show you that felt is an action. Her head is receiving the action, action verb. So why does any of this matter? Because most of the time, action verbs are going to give you stronger sentences and more powerful and effective writing than linking verbs. We can see here, the caterpillar became a moth. It's a perfectly acceptable sentence. It's grammatically correct, but it's not very descriptive. It doesn't paint as clear of a picture. The caterpillar transformed into a moth. Transformed, action verb, into a moth, prepositional phrase that we're kind of getting the idea of what it's describing. Transformed is a much more picturesque and powerful word than became. So there's a preference for the second sentence. It can get a little fuzzier. She was excited to receive the award. Okay, again, perfectly grammatical. Maybe a little weak. Receiving the award excited her. So we've changed our verb from was to the verb excited. Notice here too that in the first sentence, the word excited is actually an adjective describing she. And we can kind of tell that because was is going to be a linking verb pretty obviously as a form of the verb be. And we can revise this and shorten this even further. The award excited her. Bear in mind that APA writing favors brevity, conciseness, and directness. Take advantage of that to tighten your writing and making it more powerful. Bear in mind, too, that there may be contexts in which that first or second sentence is preferable. We're not necessarily working with hard and fast rules, but thinking more about giving ourselves as many tools as possible so that we can express ourselves exactly as we mean, and so that we have as many toys to play with in the revision process as possible. Okay, that's everything that I have for verbs right now. We do have other verb videos. Please check them out. Thank you very much. Flame forward. Have a wonderful day. Bye for now.